views expressed on this episode of My Take Radio do not reflect the views, thoughts, or feelings of the My Take Radio staff, My Take Radio advertisers, or My Take Radio content partners. Listener and viewer discretion is advised.
This coverage is live and uncensored, so if you have any small children present, you may want to have them leave the room.
What's going on, guys? My Take Radio episode 289, broadcasting live April 23rd, 2015. I'm your host, Rich, and our caller number is 347-324-3541. Again, that caller number 347-324-3541. If this is your first time tuning into My Take Radio is a variety show covering mixed martial arts and professional wrestling on Wednesday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. And Thursday nights, we cover gaming, entertainment. Sometimes we sprinkle some tech and pop culture in there as well. As always, you can listen live by heading over to gfqlive.tv, or mtrlive.com. Of course, on mtrlive.com, you get our full video feed, and you get 96K stereo audio courtesy of Mixlr as well. Thank you, Slick. And as always, archived episodes of the show are available on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, and video archives are available on both YouTube channels, My Take Radio TV and Official Rageworks. All right, so last night, of course, we had a very lengthy but very, very good discussion about MMA and wrestling. Ben joined me for MMA, and of course, I gave my picks for the Extreme Rules pay-per-view event. That episode, both audio and video, will be uploaded later this evening. And we're also going to put out our intro video for Patreon and a couple of other things that we are working on as well. But the big one is a giveaway that we are working on in partnership with our colleagues at Royal Flush Magazine. I have here a second generation Moto X that we are going to give away. We're going to launch the contest this weekend, and it's super easy. We're going to pretty much lay out all the rules, but the biggest part of the contest will be super easy. You're going to go on the post when it goes live, and you're going to share why you need this phone. Maybe you have a shitty flip phone and you want to make the jump to a smartphone. I know some of you do. Maybe you're just looking to get this as an extra phone. Whatever the case may be, make a compelling argument, share a picture of your device in the comment, and myself and Danny from Royal Flush Magazine will pick the best one and give them this Moto X. Now, this Moto X is a review unit that we received and was tested on T-Mobile. So, I cannot stress enough, please be a T-Mobile subscriber. If you're going to enter this contest, I will also make sure to include that in the rules. But this phone will go to one of you guys. I wanted to announce it on air to kind of get the ball rolling. The full post will be live this weekend. Now, I'm really hyped for this for a couple of reasons. If you guys have read the review on RageWorks.net, you'll see that the Moto X second gen is a very, very good phone. Not only that, it has pretty much a bare bones Google interface, and this one has the wood grain finish, which, of course, if you go to Moto Maker, you have to customize that yourself. But this one in particular, like I said, will be with a full wood grain finish. So that contest will go live this weekend, and we'll figure out a duration, and there's going to be a couple of other rules as well. But again, we're going to give away this Moto X to one of you guys. Simple as that. And best part, we'll announce the winner on air, and I will ship the device out to you guys. Like I said, this was a review unit. It was opened, and it is in mint condition. Comes with everything. It's not even a question that there's no accessories or anything. The Moto X box is right behind me. Phone is mint, and it's ready for use for any T-Mobile subscriber that wins the contest. So there you have it, ladies and gents. We're going to be giving away a Moto X within the next couple. I'd like to at least give the contest 2 weeks, maybe a little longer, but 2 weeks might be the limit. We'll see how it goes. Again, contest will go live this weekend. Myself and Danny from Royal Flush Magazine will be handling the awarding honors, so to speak, and we will announce the winner on air. Of course, it is open to everyone. If you are a Rageworks reader, a My Take Radio listener, a Royal Flush Magazine fan, Twitter follower, YouTube subscriber, whatever the case may be, it is open to everyone. Hell, including well, let me clarify that, including some of our non-senior staff. All senior staff are exempt and cannot participate, obviously, but everybody else are freelancers, and those that want to participate are welcome to do so. So there you have it, guys. Moto X, courtesy of Rageworks and Royal Flush Magazine. Contest goes live this weekend. All right, so couple of other things I did want to share with you guys. I want to thank all of you that have been subscribing to the Rageworks YouTube channel. I know it's been a tough transition for many of you that were subscribed on the My Take Radio YouTube channel to also follow Rageworks. A couple of things. For those of you that are not aware, the My Take Radio YouTube channel is only for My Take Radio episodes, meaning only shows. That's it. No unboxings, no product reviews, no movie trailers, none of that. All of that stuff will be on youtube.com/official Rageworks. So that's where you're going to be able to see all our reviews, all our video content, our streams, and everything else. So just as a refresher, that's what you're going to need to do if you want to get access to some of our other stuff, our video reviews, and all our other content. As I mentioned yesterday, we will be covering Special Edition NY and sharing videos, movies, pictures, you name it, from the event over the course of those 2 days. We're also going to be covering Consumer Electronics Week as well. Now, the only thing I do have to say is for those of you that have asked about a secondary video source, I was actually speaking about this with Andrew from GFQ, and in instances where there's issues with video or the video feed is down, we are going to implement a secondary live video page. Again, this is going to be for those instances where there's technical issues, etc. And more than likely, we are going to be streaming that video straight to YouTube, which is going to bring in a completely different audience. But we're working on finalizing that, and hopefully we're going to do some testing maybe at the end of May. We'll keep you guys posted with regards to that. All right, so what's on deck for tonight? We got a ton of gaming news. We got a really, really solid entertainment segment this week. And as always, we will take your calls, 347-324-3541. Again, 347-324-3541. You can also use that number to listen to the show via your mobile device if you don't want to use the Mixlr app. If you do, the Mixlr app is available for iOS and Android devices, and you can listen to the live stream that way. All right, so let's get this ball rolling. Let's jump into the gaming news of the week, shall we? All right, so I want to get the ball rolling with a very interesting news item that came out for Mortal Kombat X. Now, there's been a lot of news this week, both from the comic book medium, but also in the gaming industry, about the introduction of characters that are not heterosexual, bisexual, gay, lesbian, transgender, whatever the case may be. There's always been a brand new, let me put it this way, there's always been a new trend to introduce characters that fall in those spectrums to the mainstream. Sometimes they're well received, other times they're viewed as cash grabs. The big news item this week was, of course, that the Iceman from the past that was brought forward into the current Marvel Universe has been revealed as being gay. And while everybody had their own opinions about it, it didn't bother me any bit. And the reason I say this is because people are debating the sexual orientation of a fictional character. And this is going to go into some stuff we're going to discuss during the entertainment segment regarding the commentary from Chris Evans and Jeremy Renner and the whole big debacle regarding Black Widow. We're going to talk about that. But on the gaming side of things, very interesting. There's a character there, which is Kung Jin. And it's been revealed that he is actually a gay character, the first character in the Mortal Kombat series. And this all came about because of a scene in Chapter 4 where he's having a conversation with Raiden. And, Raiden is asking him to join Shaolin. And Kung Jin's response is that the group won't accept him, to which Raiden responds, "They care only of what is in your heart, not whom your heart desires." Now, of course, as soon as people heard that, they kind of started thinking, the gears started turning, and people were curious. So somebody reached out actually to NetherRealm Studios cinematic director Dominic Cooper, who confirmed that glad we have observant fans, And because of that, it's been revealed that Kung Jin is the first gay character in the Mortal Kombat universe. Now, again, me as a gamer and just as a human, labels don't mean shit. At least for me. Black gamers, white gamers, straight gamers, gay gamers, transgender, it doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is that the character is gay, so what? But of course, we live in a society where the internet is a shield for people to express themselves in ways that sometimes aren't viewed favorably in the real world. So of course people hide behind that, and they say some terrible shit. Slick, I would tone that down a bit. The fact of the matter is, again, sexual orientation for a fictional character shouldn't be something that's debated. It's stupid, and it's just as ridiculous as people debating, Heimdall being black in Thor. Tertiary character, doesn't matter, not worth debating. Johnny Storm being African-American in Fantastic Four, we've addressed it. There's a difference of opinion there, and it's not because it was done for the sake of changing the story, but it was just a change that was completely random for the sake of being random. And again, I'm all for trying to have everybody's cultures and genders represented in any medium. I am. Say what you will. If you don't agree with the ideals, do yourselves a favor, shut the shit off. Because I'm serious. I'm an equal opportunity offender. Everybody has to get their feelings hurt. Doesn't matter. But everybody also has a right to be acknowledged. Lucha Lee says, and I quote, "If Mortal Kombat has taught me anything, it's that they're all the same on the inside. Because they show their insides to us, and it's messy." This is true. But the fact that so many people were up in arms about, again, a fictional character's sexual preference doesn't matter. It doesn't. It was nice that it was acknowledged and people picked up on it, but it wasn't like they were expanding on that mythology and that story to the extent where it would become offensive. And that's what bothers me. I can understand if people are offended about things that directly affect them. But the gender of a fictional character in a game that glorifies violence in all forms is just a non-issue. I feel the same way with regards to gender in comic books and the fact that, sexual preference, gender, race, people have things to say. When Miles Morales became Spider-Man, everybody was up in arms about it. 3 months or 6 months later, you see those same people, "Oh, this comic book is amazing." Again, doesn't matter. Yes, Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Yes, Peter Parker is white. But there doesn't necessarily have to be one Spider-Man, and we've learned this. Look at the popularity of Spider-Gwen, which was introduced during the Spider-Verse storyline. Gwen Stacy with Peter Parker, with Spider-Man's powers, super popular, selling everywhere. Kids love it. And it's good. It's something good that helps kids relate. And that's all that matters to me. I think that, we need to become more of a society of just tolerance. Like, everybody's too busy to be offended about shit that doesn't affect their everyday. But I wanted to share that because I saw so many people, as soon as that revelation was made, they take, like I said, to Twitter, and the best commentary, the people with the best commentary, and I say that in quotes, are the people who hide behind the label of anonymous. Because those are the people that don't even want to really stand in front of their views and say what they feel legitimately. And I disagree. So what? The character's sexual orientation does not take away from the game whatsoever. On the contrary, it adds an interesting layer of, just shit that happens in the real world. Me personally, doesn't bother me in the least. Again, labels, genders, all that bullshit that people try to champion on social media or otherwise mean nothing. We bleed, breathe, and breed the same. Well, obviously, genders being the big divider there, but you guys get what I'm saying. It's foolish that so many people were bent out of shape about something that really had no bearing on on the enjoyment of the game. Which leads me to, while we're on the subject of Mortal Kombat, the continuing backlash with regards to DLC, microtransactions, people hacking characters to unlock other characters. It's a crazy turn of events, but none of this surprises me. I mean, Slick mentioned the on-disc DLC frustrations that are warranted, but again, we all knew this was coming. It's like an article I read from Polygon about Mortal Kombat X being a great game 6 months from now or a year from now. Because at that point, all the characters will be out. You can buy the edition with everybody and go about your business. Again, not totally happy about all this stuff that's coming out of the woodwork because, again, it's really souring people on the company and the series. But like I've said before, you guys have the full wherewithal to make decisions for yourselves and not buy the shit. Simple as that. On another note, Slick asked me last week about, wanting to play as Jason and the DLC and all that stuff. And I explained to him that, the DLC is going to be released gradually. Well, for those of you that are looking to play as Jason Voorhees and do have the Season Pass or the Combat Pack, you will only have to wait until May 5th. NetherRealm announced that they announced that during their live stream that you're going to be able to play as Jason Voorhees if you ordered the Season Pass or the Combat Pack beginning May 5th. Otherwise, those of you that are interested in purchasing him piecemeal will have to wait a week later. But Jason will be available in the Premier Towers, even for players that haven't purchased him, so you'll be able to fight against Jason with any of the other in-game characters. So there is always that. I did want to put that out there because I know some of you have purchased the Combat Pack and have reached out to me, off air and said, hey, I purchased the Combat Pack. Any idea who's dropping first, what date? Well, you're going to be able to play as Jason first, beginning on May 5th. All right, so let's switch gears a little bit. I do want to talk about 2K Games' announcement that WWE 2K15 is heading to PC. Now, the crazy thing about this game heading to PC is that if you've played Street Fighter or you've seen videos of Street Fighter on the PC, people do a lot of really, really great mods for Street Fighter, creating other characters, other skins, changing the movesets. I know that WWE 2K15 heading to the PC is going to create some really, really interesting stuff. It could be as simple as easier to modify characters, special arenas, different stipulations. The hacking and modding community on the PC side of things is always something that impresses me. I mean, you see games like GTA where somebody decides we're going to play GTA from the perspective of a deer, or something like that, or they're going to skin all the characters to make it look like Star Wars or anything else. It's always really cool, and it shows that there's so much untapped talent out there that can do some of this stuff. But seeing WWE 2K15 head to the PC, of course, you're going to get all the DLC, the arrival packs, the showcase modes, including One More Match, Hall of Pain, Path of the Warrior, and, all that stuff you'll be able to do. But it's just crazy to me that it's opening up the doors for other modifications. Slick, I know that animal play is part of the natural game, but making the entire game animal-based is a mod that I saw today. Everything. Not just the one part of the game. Everything. Hence why I said it. In any case, the modding community has done some crazy shit. And seeing it done with wrestling games is going to be something that's going to be interesting to see, like I said, because the talent that's out there for the stuff on the consoles is out of this world. I downloaded a Finn Balor off of just the server to use in WWE 2K15, and he was spot on. Face paint, moveset. Obviously, the name wasn't there and the music wasn't there, but everything else was spot on, including the moves that he used in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Just really, really cool stuff. A lot of the gear that people have done that they've replicated right down to all the small details, the changes in Seth Rollins' ring gear, the changes in Roman Reigns' ring gear, all the different gear that Dean Ambrose has worn. It's just amazing the amount of stuff you see customized just on the console, and now opening up those floodgates to the PC is going to create some really, really awesome stuff that I'm looking forward to seeing. I mean, I'm not a big PC gamer. I've never made any false illusions that I am, and the reason is just because I like the console. I like to just pick up and play mentality of the console. My PC is for work and for you guys, for the show. I always view that as a tool and not so much as something that I'm going to sit in front of. For that, I have all these consoles, including some retro ones, that'll keep me busy for quite some time. But those of you that do game on the PC, I admire your dedication. And I'll be honest, a PC that's fully spec'd out generates some beautiful visuals. I've seen some games where you think they look amazing on a console, and then you see them on a high-end, super powerful PC, and it's just a whole other ballgame. So, again, PC Master Race, you guys got some cool shit at your disposal. I'm just somebody that's not ready to dip my toes into the pool because I just feel that for me at this point, it's a lot of work. And I know people are like, oh, Rich, you should try Steam. Steam is easy. You could jump on. You could pick up a couple different games. They're super cheap. And, you don't need to have a fully spec'd out system to enjoy them. And that's cool. But it just becomes something else that I have to make time for. And then what'll happen is it'll take away from me doing work, writing columns or stuff for the site or editing. So I'd rather just keep both things separate. But I'm curious to see. I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of mods for WWE 2K15. I know people are going to put out some crazy shit. Going back to WWF No Mercy on the Nintendo 64, I remember I searched high and low to buy a Game Shark. This is, of course, dating ourselves. Picking up a Game Shark because there was a list of codes to do asshole chants, have Jim Ross yell, "You kicked out," at the 2 count. You could do the triple cage from Ready to Rumble. You could also do the ECW Stairway to Hell match. You could do asshole chants. There is an endless list of codes that can be implemented with the Game Shark for Nintendo 64 for WWE No Mercy. WWF No Mercy. It was ridiculous, the stuff that I saw. You can look for some of those videos on YouTube and see for yourself, because there was some really cool shit. I think the only code that I ever got right was the asshole chant, "You kicked out." Oh, and when Kurt Angle's music would hit and the crowd would chant, "You suck," in harmony with Kurt Angle's music, that was one that I used a lot just because I played as Kurt Angle a lot in those games, because obviously suplexes for days. But again, seeing those mods in those old games and the possibility of them coming to the PC makes me pretty hype. If you are a PC gamer and you're definitely doing some cool shit like that with WWE 2K15, definitely send me the videos. I'd love to share them with the listeners and the viewers just so they could see what can be done in that game. The other big announcement comes courtesy of Telltale Games this week, as they announced that they are going to be working with Marvel Entertainment to develop a new secret project that is going to be debuting in 2017. Obviously, Marvel has been running rampant lately with the success of the Avengers already overseas, which I'm going to discuss. The announcement of an animated Spider-Man film, which we're going to discuss. Marvel's been on a tear lately. They've been doing a lot of great stuff. It's weird, though, because, and again, this is just me putting it out there, but think about the Rocksteady's Batman series and the amazing job that they've done with that. And even to a degree, some of the last few Spider-Man games, I know Slick played, I believe there was Amazing Spider-Man 2 and reviewed it on the site, and how those games have come such a long way that for once I'd like to see a more open world, even something like the Avengers would be cool in an open world landscape on par with what's been done with the Batman games. I think doing something like that would be cool, playing as the different Avengers, doing different missions in different parts of the, Marvel universe, whether it's doing stuff in New York or, going to Wakanda, maybe playing as Black Panther. I think that something of that magnitude needs to happen. I think that DC, well, let me rephrase that. I think Batman has been executed very, very well with regards to what Rocksteady has done with the character and with the series. The combat is fluid. The environments are, just apropos. They work for the series. I'd like to see Marvel kind of jump into that a bit more. Even if Rocksteady, if the Rocksteady engine for Batman was used in a game like Spider-Man, just to make it a little darker, a little grittier, doing all the different missions, stopping all the different stuff. And I know that, Slick touched on a lot of that when he reviewed the Spider-Man game, that you can do some of those things. But I just feel that maybe just bigger sprites, more detail would make for a very, very interesting game. Imagine being able to play through a really, really, quasi-accurate New York environment and, stopping robberies and burglaries and different things, and you can do them or not do them for, different achievements and different hero points that maybe you could use to upgrade, different features on web shooters, different costumes, and then obviously solve certain crimes. I think it would be amazing to see something like that. Maybe you can implement, the Peter Parker's photography and use that for another thing. I mean, I've seen other Spider-Man games do that, but never on a level like Rocksteady has done with Batman, which, again, I'd love to see. And even if it's not Spider-Man, and maybe with his popularity as of late, maybe a Daredevil game like that would be really good. Solving all the different crimes, using your heightened senses and trying to find where these crimes are occurring, stopping them, dismantling the Kingpin, the Hand, and maybe throwing in a couple of different Marvel characters for good measure. I do feel that good superhero games are hard to come by. It's just, it's tough. I like that. You know what's funny? Slick mentioned Court in a Daredevil game. Listen, if people can make what the hell's that game? Phoenix Wright, which is a Court game, interesting. I'm sure they could find a way to do something with Daredevil to make it somewhat interesting. I'm not saying that, you're doing full trials and shit, but maybe there's a dynamic that could be implemented into the game that would make it interesting. Maybe, using the evidence from a crime that you solved to put a guy away. Nothing crazy, like I said. Maybe something, quick time event that you could just, put a button press or two, and maybe it's a choose your own adventure type of thing, and then obviously do all the combat. There's something there. There definitely is something there with regards to just implementing a good Marvel game. And again, you shouldn't relegate it to just the Spider-Man license. Of course, if you guys remember, I think I've mentioned this once or twice, one of my favorite arcade games was the Avengers game, where you'd go and you'd pick one of the four team members, fight your way through. In the first level, I believe the bosses were Claw and Cyclone, and you'd fight them in the first level. And obviously, a lot of other companies replicated that same thing. X-Men the Arcade, of course, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Simpsons. There's even a Spider-Man game that was like that you could play a Spider-Man and you'd fight this giant Venom at the end of a stage. I really feel that those days, even though those games were more, straightforward, more simplistic, they were fun. I mean, I streamed a Punisher game a couple of months back in a Blast from the Past feature that nobody even heard of, where you could play as either the Punisher or Nick Fury, and you'd fight your way through all the stages, obviously to take down the Kingpin at the end of the game. But again, it's just one of those things where you could play those games and they weren't, super advanced, super ahead of their time, but they filled a niche. And Lucha Lee says, I'm a big fan of those beat 'em up arcade games, as was I. I think those games ate a lot of quarters. I remember playing Aliens vs. Predator, which is another game that I actually played in our Blast from the Past feature, and that game was, without a doubt, just one of those games where when you played it, you were like, oh shit, this is some crazy stuff. And for me, just as a somebody who's a comic fan, I'd like to see Marvel represented just as good as DC is with the Batman games. Again, this is one of those things where, and I've said this before, people are going to make their case that, oh, well, Batman's a special case, etc., etc. But for those of you that aren't familiar, I want to show you guys the Punisher game, just because I think that those of you that have never seen it would appreciate the way it looks. Let me see if I can pull it up. I actually have the video, so I'm shocked that they actually will let me play it. Let me see if they'll let me play it, because YouTube is a little sketchy as of late. No, I guess not. I guess YouTube won't let me play that. Weird. Let me try that again. But in any case, as I was saying, those beat 'em ups are they're few and far between, and even if we get something like that, at least I'll take it, versus just Batman being the only game in town. Which, again, not a dig against Batman, but just something where it's like shit. Can I live? Can I get a game that's actually somewhat enjoyable? I mean, it doesn't happen often, especially with other Marvel characters, but at minimum, at least if they could replicate what there we go. Check this out, guys. Let's see if it'll load, because it's been, no? See, this is what happens. YouTube, they complain about all this content. Nope, guess not. Anyway, as I was saying, if you guys want to see it, here's the link for it. I'm going to drop the link in the chat. You guys can check it out. That's the Punisher arcade game. And I also had the Predator game, the Aliens vs. Predator game as well. I actually put those on the My Take Radio YouTube channel, but you're welcome to check them out if you're in the chat. Again, those are some old school games that I streamed not too long ago. Anyway, as I was saying, I'd like to see that. I'd like to see Marvel really dip their toes into the pool and put out really, really good games. I think they got the wherewithal and the money to put out a game that's comparable to at least the Batman series. With the advancements in consoles, it definitely can be done. Like I said, there's plenty of properties you could do. You could do a good Spider-Man game, for next-gen consoles. Do it full open world. Maybe Daredevil if you want to go a little obscure. Hell, I'd like to see a really good Superman game. Even if you could do that, maybe have Rocksteady do that, where you're doing stuff as Clark Kent, you're doing stuff as Superman. You use the super hearing. Oh, somebody's in trouble. You could do that stuff, and of course solve some other shit as well. I mean, it's not going to be as deep as the Batman games, but I'm sure there's a way that we can make Superman remotely interesting. Anyway, last thing I wanted to put out there, and I wanted to kind of touch on before we move into this week's entertainment news, is that brand new Call of Duty, a little bit of light was shed on it. This brand new Black Ops trailer, which is Black Ops 3, is going to pretty much involve, cyborg soldiers, more futuristic combat. And of course, the case can be made that, oh, well, at that point, why don't you just call it Halo? And I mean, the Call of Duty series is a cash cow in every sense of the word. Nobody should be shocked that you're going to go back to what works. And Black Ops was a series that made the companies, that made the gaming industry a lot of money. So you can't exactly sweep it under the rug. Yes, the case can be made that it's the same old shit. But you know what? The case can be made that Halo 5 is going to be the same old shit. All of these other games, hell, Madden every year, same old shit. But the numbers don't lie and people still buy it. So I'm curious to see what they do, how they keep the series fresh, especially on, the newer consoles. We'll see how that pans out. Once we get a release date and some stuff, I'll share it with you guys. But we'll definitely be posting the trailer on rageworks.net. All right, so with that, we're actually going to wrap up the gaming for this week. It's been a little bit light, but I'm sure that's going to pick up as we get closer to E3. So let's get that ball rolling and jump into the week's entertainment news, shall we? All right, so for the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about the development of the Preacher TV series, which of course is following the Vertigo comic book. Small Screen has been giving us a lot of amazing television when it comes to comic properties. Obviously, we've talked about Daredevil, The Arrow, Flash, even iZombie. iZombie started off a little slow. I wasn't really digging it. But now I enjoy it. I enjoy some of the references that are there. I mean, Flash and Arrow definitely are, in my top 5 of favorite shows. Daredevil's up there. Shield comes and goes depending on the episode I see. And I will say Gotham has been surprising me as of late. Again, it's a lot of, police procedural. So if you enjoy stuff like Law and Order and things like that, then Gotham might resonate a little bit more with you. I know a lot of people that are more, into Arrow and the Flash, and they've watched Gotham, and they say to me that they just don't like the pacing. They don't like the procedural atmosphere that they use in Gotham, which again, it's not going to be for everybody, but there are things in Gotham that I really like and are really well done. I think that they've done an amazing job fleshing out, Alfred, just giving us a bit more than just him being, Bruce Wayne being the kid that he's stuck raising. A lot of really good stuff there. Also, I think that the actor that plays Bruce Wayne, for the limited amount of time that he's on screen, and sometimes I say that Gotham should just be called Jim Gordon Has a Bad Day, for the instances where he is on screen, he is growing into somebody who's actually embracing the Bruce Wayne character. And I say that because in the early episodes, he was just, the scared kid who lost his parents. And there was some plot development there, just trying to set the stage. But you're starting to see a lot of the stuff that helped make Batman who he is being acknowledged by the young Bruce Wayne. Just the detective skills, certain, his views on killing. A lot of the stuff is being shaped in that series. And again, I'm sure that Gotham isn't going to run all the way to a point where Bruce Wayne reaches adulthood and becomes Batman. But I do feel that there are a lot of subtle things that have been done in the series that are remarkably well done. Again, not a series that everyone's going to like because they're going to feel that it's way too, police procedural. Some people are going to like that. Some people aren't. I mean, even Powers, which you can watch on the PlayStation Network, again, very, very close to the book in some respects, but it's not something that a lot of people are going to like because, again, people either want to see superheroes or they want to see something close to the superheroes they know. That's something that, Gotham, even S.H.I.E.L.D., to a degree. Not everybody digs Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because they feel that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is essentially let's name drop everybody who's in the big screen movies and never use them in the TV shows. And again, a case can be made that that should be something that Marvel should try to work on. And I agree to a point. I think that, acknowledging the Inhumans and setting that up, that's good. But there's so many other characters in the Marvel universe that I think could be utilized in a show like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I mean, when they started exploring Deathlock and doing stuff like that, I really thought that that was one of the better things that they did. I was like, wow, that's really cool. And Absorbing Man showing up and Lady Sif and things like that, I felt that they were good because they helped the show go just beyond, oh, we're going to solve quote-unquote superhero shit without really using any superheroes or supervillains. But they've done a good job with it, and I think that the series itself turned the corner after Captain America Winter Soldier, and now with Age of Ultron pretty much on the horizon within another week, they're starting to kind of go into that category as well. Now, to kind of circle back a little bit to the Preacher book, the Preacher book was a series that ran from 1995 to 2000. The character of Preacher is going to be portrayed by Dominic Cooper, who many of you know as playing Howard Stark in Agent Carter. So he's going to actually be playing Preacher in the series, and I think it's a good fit, and Seth Rogen is really involved. He's really committed, and above all, Preacher is heading to a network that does a very good job with properties like this, that being AMC. We already know that AMC has been killing it with The Walking Dead, and I have a nagging suspicion that they're going to do a really good job with Preacher as well. As of right now, Preacher should be shooting within the next couple of weeks with a debut in 2016. So be on the lookout for that if you're a Preacher fan. On the other side of the spectrum, on the Marvel side, a returning character is heading back to the big screen, and that is the character of Havok. Those of you that know, Havok's character actually appeared briefly in Days of Future Past and was seen prominently in X-Men First Class. While Havok is returning, and he's going to be in X-Men Apocalypse, of course, being portrayed by Lucas Till, who portrayed him in First Class. But the cool thing about this, and not too many people have talked about it, is that this is going to be one of the first times on film that Havok and Cyclops have been together in a large capacity. Now, obviously, they've touched on it on and off in all the other films and in subtle ways, but this is going to be the first time that, Scott and Alex Summers are on screen at the same time. And given the involvement with Apocalypse, I'm sure that that's not something that wasn't done with a bigger theme in mind. And I think that when you look at that, and it's something that I feel wasn't really touched on enough in the books until I want to say maybe 5 or 6 years ago, just the relationship between Cyclops and Havok. They don't really explore that relationship a lot in the books, and they should. I mean, other than their relationship with the Starjammers and the leader of the Starjammers being their father and all that, there's not much that they do with them, but it's something that, for me, I think on the big screen should be explored. Lucha Lee asks, are you going to talk about the Valiant Sony deal? Yes, I am. I definitely am going to talk about that quite a bit, so definitely stay tuned for that. But again, I'm happy to see Lucas Till heading back, so Havok will be appearing alongside Cyclops, who is going to be played by Ty Sheridan. Also, obviously returning, James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender, Jennifer Lawrence, Nicholas Hoult, Rose Byrne, joining them, Alexandra Shipp, Olivia Munn, who's playing Psylocke, Sophie Turner, who's playing young Jean Grey, Evan Peters, of course, who's coming back as Quicksilver, and Oscar Isaac, who's going to be playing Apocalypse. And, I'm really excited. I think, Age of Apocalypse is shaping up to be a, Apocalypse, not Age of Apocalypse, depending on which article you read. Some people are calling it just Age of Apocalypse, others are just calling it X-Men Apocalypse. But either way, I'm actually looking forward to seeing what Apocalypse is going to look like on the big screen. And I've talked about this in previous episodes, that there's a fear in bringing certain characters to the big screen, just because there's a concern that they can't do their comic book counterparts justice. I talked about this when we posted the trailer for the new Fantastic Four film, which actually gave us a glimpse of Doctor Doom, or just Doom in this instance, and I didn't like the design. I didn't. And, I touched on it briefly in my write-up, and somebody sent me a message, and they were like, listen, why can't they bring this character to life the way that he looks in the books? And it made me think, and I thought about it. I'm like, damn, it's true. If you can have Iron Man look as badass as he looks, how hard is it to bring Doctor Doom to the big screen? I'm serious. It's not even a, something I can't, it's not a rhetorical question. It's why can't it be done? Think about it. Iron Man on the big screen works. Hulkbuster armor works. Ultron works. And the obvious choice, Slick says, different company, different vision. I'm not even talking about companies and visions. Not even talking about that. I understand that perfectly. I'm talking about the fact that just bringing the character the way he looks to life is not difficult. Like, it's harder to do a character like The Thing versus doing a character like Doctor Doom. The closest we got was the second Fantastic Four film, and even that, sketchy at best. I'm serious. I mean, if the Arrow can bring, if Green Arrow or Arrow on the CW can do a decent job with the Atom, why can't they just do the same thing with Doctor Doom? Seriously, how hard is it? Hey, this guy, he got a scarred face, throws on this mask and this armor because the armor gives him powers. He does dark magic, etc., etc. It's not hard. And that's what annoys me. Like, think about it. Apocalypse is coming to the big screen. Now, Apocalypse can be very fucked up too. You can ruin that design like this. But everybody said that they're pretty much leaning towards transferring the design from the books right to the big screen. And, if they could do the Sentinels and they can do Mystique and they can do all this other shit, and they're going to take this huge gamble with Apocalypse, why can't they do the same with Doctor Doom? Why is it that difficult? Now, obviously, in the new Fantastic Four, people are saying that they're using, obviously, Ultimate Doctor Doom. Okay, that's fine, but still, Doctor Doom has one of the most iconic designs. Everyone knows who Doctor Doom is. You see that metal mask and that green hood, you know who it is. Well, unless you're dealing with Doctor Doom 2099, who had a different color hood, but still, Doctor Doom's character, his look is iconic. It's one of the things when X-Men went the First Class route and Magneto got his helmet, and I'm not talking about the bullshit helmet that Ian McKellen wore, but I'm talking about the real helmet that Michael Fassbender put on in X-Men First Class and Days of Future Past. You were like, oh shit, that looks badass. And that's one of those things that it's subtle, it's small, but it makes a huge difference. And people don't catch that shit. People don't catch that shit, and they should, because it's little subtleties like that that really just speak volumes about, a company's attention to detail. It's that simple. A company's attention to detail, especially if you watch some of the TV shows, there are a lot of great blink and you missed it moments. I don't understand why that can't be done on the big screen. And with a character like Doctor Doom especially, it's not like Galactus. When Galactus appeared in the second Fantastic Four, it's like, oh, this guy looks like a giant cloud and all this bullshit. And listen, you didn't want to go with the big guy with the purple suit because you thought it was going to look stupid. Making the guy look like a fucking dust cloud didn't do anybody any favors either. Let's not kid ourselves. I'm just saying. Dark Helmet writes, nobody remembers the 2099 characters. I do. Hell, Spider-Man 2099 was a big part of the Spider-Verse books. And one of my favorite 2099 characters, Spider-Man 2099, Doom 2099, and I think I still have Punisher 2099 #1 somewhere in a comic book box. I'm going to see if I find it, and if I do, I'll share it on either Instagram or on our Facebook fan page just for a few laughs. But again, good to see Havok joining the rest of the X-Men for X-Men Apocalypse, which is hitting theaters May 27th, 2016. So, on the box office side of things, Fast and Furious continues to kill it at the box office, $29.1 million, bringing its total to $294.4 million. But that's not the only number that matters here. Excuse me. Fast and Furious has been ultra successful. Even if people shit on the films, you're not going to believe this. Fast and Furious, Furious 7, broke $1 billion worldwide as of last Thursday. $1 billion. It is now the fastest film to ever hit that mark. The original records belong to Avengers, Avatar, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, but now the fastest film, Fast and Furious, reaches the $1 billion mark in a record time. And obviously a lot can be attributed to Paul Walker's passing, but let's not kid ourselves. The movies make money. So it shouldn't come as a shock to anyone that Fast and Furious 8 is going to happen. Like Vin Diesel said in an interview, Fast 8 is fate. It can be done. The studio itself said that they felt that they could do 3 more films. And with all the characters that have been introduced and all the different plots that have kind of been built over the last couple of films, this is not a surprise. But the real surprise is a series that basically started out as glorified car porn has reinvented itself with each incarnation to the point that 6 sequels later, the film continues to churn out record-breaking volume. And the reason I say this is because not the most cinematically beautiful series, not a series that's rich in plot, but a series that actually makes people enjoy what they're watching is half the battle. And yes, like I said, Fast and Furious, not for everybody. I know plenty of people that do not like the series. And again, I don't try to sway their opinion, but in terms of mindless action that you could just sit there and immerse yourself for 90 minutes, maybe 2 hours, Fast and Furious does a pretty fucking good job. And $1 billion box office haul in record time validates that. Of course, they're sitting pretty right now in the #1 slot, but I guarantee you on May 1st, that will change. And we'll get into why that is, aside obviously from the Avengers being released here in the States, but there's bigger reasons than that we will get into. Anyway, Fast and Furious 7 was #1. Paul Blart, Mall Cop Part 2 came in at #2. I don't know who went to see that, but God help you. Unfriended came in at #3. Home was #4. The Longest Ride was #5. Get Hard was 6. Monkey Kingdom was 7. The Women in Gold was 8. Insurgent was 9. And Cinderella was 10. So there you have it, guys. A pretty solid box office haul for Furious 7, which will surely come to an end on May 1st. All right, so the next bit of movie news, it depends on which school on which camp you're in. I know that for our very own Slick, he's going to pretty much be annoyed by this next bit of news, but Hasbro has revealed that a new Transformers film is heading to the big screen in 2017. Okay, great. No biggie, right? Well, it looks like they're actually going to create a cinematic universe for Transformers, like full. Like, everybody wants to be Marvel and DC with the whole cinematic universe. Well, it looks like Transformers is going to be the next. They're going to start with the next sequel in 2017. Brian Goldsman, the CEO of Hasbro, said that he will be working with the writing team alongside Michael Bay, Steven Spielberg, and Lorenzo di Bonaventura to provide oversight on the franchise. But yes, Transformers is getting its own cinematic universe. Aside from the films that we have, we're going to be expanding into other characters and other stories. It's funny because Lucha Lee says they should do Transformers versus G.I. Joe. And you know what's funny about that? I would love to see that, because I've always felt that the comic books were always really well done, and the fact that they went to such interesting lengths to bring the two universes together was really, really cool. Obviously, that would involve a lot of moving parts to get it to work on the big screen, but still, you know, it's something that I wouldn't mind seeing. Isaiah says Transformers is my Fast and Furious. Oh my God, such a perfect analogy. What Isaiah just said is exactly how I feel. The Transformers movies are not great. They're not. If you are a Transformers fan or you grew up watching some semblance of the series, you know without a shadow of a doubt that they are not great at all. But they are enjoyable. The effects are crazy. Sometimes they get a little too stupid. Devastator with nuts, we're looking at you. But overall, they are mindless and they acknowledge something from our childhood. Is it picture perfect? Is it concrete? I've said this before. No. But I've also said that Transformers exists in a separate universe. There's no sense in me personally comparing it to the animated series, because obviously if I do that, I'm going to hate every part of it. You know? Like Grimlock in the last one, in Age of Extinction. Sure, he looked really fucking cool. Was he used correctly? No. Optimus Prime riding him like a pony? No. Not cool. But just seeing something like that from my childhood on the big screen was just cool enough. Like, I'm like, wow, that's kind of badass. And that's just, you know, from a creativity standpoint. You know, like there's a lot of stuff that, again, is wrong with all those movies. But but like I said, I don't feel the necessity to try and say that I hate them because they don't match the shows. We know that that's the case. We knew that as soon as we saw the first film. But here's the thing that I really want to address. Everybody wants to have a cinematic universe. Remember when we used to joke about that everybody wants to make their movies dark, like the Dark Knight series? Now everybody wants a cinematic universe. Everybody wants to have some big intertwined universe that everybody needs to follow. And I'm sorry to say, but you don't need a cinematic universe for everything. It's not necessary. Some stuff can stand on its own. And it's just something called sequels. You don't need this whole big cinematic universe where we're going to tie everything together and all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is great. The only company that has mastered the synergy between small screen and big screen thus far, and even that has its disconnects, is Marvel. That's it. DC and Warner Brothers don't even want to touch the shit on TV. They'll make the stuff on TV intertwine within itself, but in terms of having it intertwined with the movies, nope, not doing it. And, you know, some people will complain. It frustrates me, don't get me wrong, especially because so much of the stuff done on TV is really good that the characters can't make their way to the big screen. Like, look at the Green Arrow. He is a character that is essential, that is a part of the Justice League. And the fact that, you know, the guy that does such a great job with him can't even play the character on the big screen is sad. Grant Gustin does a good job as the Flash on the Flash TV series, yet he can't even play the character on the big screen. Even if you don't want to tie it into the TV series, at least use the same fucking actors. The guys have done such a good job bringing these characters to life. That's the least you could do. I mean, I understand you want big names. Like, I understand them not using Deadshot anymore in Arrow because Will Smith is playing him in Suicide Squad. But there's no reason why you should cast somebody else as Deathstroke in Suicide Squad when Manu Bennett did an amazing job in the Arrow TV series. That's the kind of stuff that annoys me. You don't want to tie it together? Fine. But at least use the actors that people recognize as those characters. Yes, they're not as big as Ben Affleck or Henry Cavill or Gal Gadot or Will Smith or, you know, any of these other actors, but they give the characters life. They make the characters unique and special and iconic, and people remember them. And that's what bothers me the most. Not so much, oh, we want to do a cinematic universe, we don't want to do it. It's just the fact that you can't even acknowledge that these guys that are doing the TV shows are doing a lot of great stuff. It's sad, but it's true. Anyway, moving along, last week I did say that there was a Full House TV series heading to Netflix. It wasn't confirmed. Well, now it is. It is officially confirmed. John Stamos announced it on Jimmy Kimmel Live that Full House is getting a 13-episode spinoff debuting on Netflix next year. So if you're a fan of Full House, be on the lookout because it looks like all the cast are going to show up in some capacity on the show. The show is going to follow DJ Tanner and her 3 kids, Stephanie Tanner and Kimmy Gibbler. John Stamos is going to produce the show and will make guest appearances, as will Bob Saget, Dave Coulier, and Lori Loughlin as well. So there you have it. Looks like we're going to get a new Full House series next year on Netflix with a 13-episode run. Another show, well, let me rephrase that. A movie that I swore I was going to hate, that I actually thoroughly enjoyed, is getting a TV series. Now, but before I get into it, I see that Slick is saying it is a recipe for fail. Why are you writing it off if it's the entire cast and it's on fucking Netflix? Like, at least let the shit come on Netflix before you shit on it completely. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, if Girl Meets World is making a decent, on regular television is doing decent ratings, then at least give the shit a shot. See, Slick's response is because Full House fucking sucks. Okay, but I'm sure that all the years that shit was on television kind of validated that most people didn't think it sucked. I understand that you don't give a shit about it, but there's no, it's a recipe for fail. Why? Like, John Stamos is producing the shit, the entire cast is on board, and it's on Netflix. Yeah, I know it's personal opinion, dude, and I respect that, but personal opinion and not even giving this shit a shot, dude, if you have Netflix and you don't watch it, fine. But if you don't even have Netflix to watch the shit, then let the shit live. Like, I watched Full House when I was growing up. Did I think it was great? No. I enjoyed Different Strokes, Step by Step, Family Matters. I actually like Family Matters more than Full House, but again, that's me. Somebody could turn around. Yeah, because Vince Vaughn is a shit actor. Vince Vaughn, well, let me rephrase that. Slick says you shit on Vince Vaughn for every movie that he makes before they come out. Yes, because every movie that they make that he is involved in is shit. It makes no money, and he plays the same fucking guy. Again, and these are all unestablished properties. I will say this. Vince Vaughn is in season 2 of True Detective. I definitely know for a fact that he is not playing the same guy on True Detective. And no, it's not the same thing. It's not. Because Full House is an established property. It's fully established. Vince Vaughn does movies where he plays a guy that jerked off into a cup and they sold his sperm for artificial insemination, and he has a whole bunch of kids that he never knew about, and then he goes on a mission to find them. Why is that a plot? Why is that even a fucking movie? A lot of people like that movie. Who? The amount of people that helped that movie not even make back what it cost to make the film? Come on, dude. It's apples and oranges at that point. I'm not dismissing your opinion. Not by a long shot. Not dismissing it. You're entitled to your own opinion. But it's like, it's a property that's already established. Like, if you don't watch Full House and you think it sucked, that's great. But, the series is going to suck. It's impossible. It's impossible to even gauge it without even giving it at least one episode. Hell, everybody's like, yeah, Jesus Christ. You know what? This is what happens. Are you there? Nothing I hate more than arguing with goddamn text. Nothing I hate more. Nothing. Sorry. Listen. You're over here putting out this argument.
You got mad at the keyboard warrior?
Yeah, of course, especially the fact that the keyboard warrior is a guy that fucking works with me. But that's besides the point. The fact is, you cited Vince Vaughn. Dude, Vince Vaughn is probably a great actor. I liked him in everything that he did before Wedding Crashers. Why? Because from Wedding Crashers on, he played the same dry, dead, same guy. Even Old School. He was good in Old School because it was our introduction to him playing that same drab-ass, one-dimensional fucking guy. But dude, the movies he does are shit. Adam Sandler picks shit movies. Shit. Like, I don't know who their agents are that are like, hey, it's a good idea that you play the son of Satan and your name is Little Nicky and it's going to make a fuckload of money. Really? It is? On what planet? Again.
Okay, you want a reason why Full House is a recipe for failure?
Please indulge me.
What?
Please.
What put Full House over? What made Full House freaking sell to everybody? What made everybody love that show?
White people.
No. Two specific white people.
The Olsen twins?
Who were very cute and now are freaking ridiculous drunken bitches.
Okay, but let me put this in a different light. The Full House series, yes, made Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen household names, but people liked all the other people involved. Dude, Bob Saget is an amazing comedian, and the fact that people don't understand that Danny Tanner has no problem saying shit, fuck, cunt, motherfucker on the regular still drives people crazy. Still.
I'm still stuck on the horrible, horrible words that came out of your mouth that say Bob Saget is an amazing comedian.
He is. Why? Why can't he not be? Because everybody assumes that he's Danny Tanner, that he's Mr. fucking Rogers. Again, he's an amazing comedian to me. You don't gotta like the fucking guy.
The guy who hates comedies.
But again, an assumption that you continue to try to perpetrate. I don't hate comedy. I just hate certain bullshit ass movies. Now, before we get into this a little deeper, Isaiah asked, let me ask you, Rich, did you like Chris Farley? Did I like Chris Farley? I like Chris Farley. I like Chris Farley in Saturday Night Live. I like Chris Farley in Tommy Boy. Did I like Chris Farley in Beverly Hills Ninja? No, the fuck I didn't. Every comedian has their fair share of fucking duds. Like, look at John Candy. John Candy was an amazing comedian. Amazing. But he had his fair share of fucking duds. I still like Who's Harry Crumb, even though people say it's a festering pile of shit. Love that movie.
Yeah, but see, the kind of duds that you might say that John Candy made are cult classics. You could say, Who Harry Crumb is a dud. You could say Uncle Buck is a dud.
Nah, I like those movies.
Both of us love those movies.
Absolutely.
People could still say it's a dud, though.
Oh, yeah, you could say it's a dud. I mean, like I said, you're entitled to your opinion that Full House is shit. But, dude, it had a great run. Everybody that's on that series is still getting fucking paid. And besides the fact that everybody that was in the series is still involved in the new one. And it's on fucking Netflix. Dude, if the shit sucks, nobody watches it. You get what I'm saying? It's 13 episodes. You watch it or you don't. If it sucks, Netflix goes, nice for knowing you. Nice knowing you. See you later, bye. Versus on broadcast television where they try to drag the shit out sometimes, because nowadays you know that TV series don't even get sometimes even 10 episodes before the network goes, yo, I'm pulling the plug. And you can attest to that, because how many times have you said, yo, I like that show. It sucks that they're already canceling the shit.
Yeah, but they actually cancel shows that are decent.
Yeah.
Back then, they generally would let shows run.
They would, but that's because the rating scale back then wasn't as aggressive as it was now. Dude, the TGIF block, which Dark Helmet mentioned, dude, that was Family Matters, Step by Step. What the hell was that other shit they gave it in Boy Meets World? Dude, Step by Step was bullshit. At least I felt that way. You know how many people who say, yo, man, that show was great. Suzanne Summers was bad as shit. Okay, great. Doesn't mean that I like the show. I don't give a fuck if Chrissy Snow was on it. Dude, I love Three's Company. You know how many people go, really? You like that shit? I grew up watching that every afternoon at 5 o'clock. Hell, that made me ask my mother, hey, what does Mr. Furley mean about Jack being, and doing the Tinkerbell motion? And my mother had to explain it to me. Because you remember, that was one of the few shows where they stayed clowning him because he was gay. Allegedly. That was a running gag. Perfect Strangers.
Yeah,
let's be honest. Perfect Strangers, dude, was without a doubt super offensive.
Yeah.
But not for everybody. Some people are like, yo, that show was the truth. Dude, I know people
even
straight
the people
up.
that like the show would say it's offensive because it was offensive.
Absolutely.
It was definitely offensive to foreigners.
Dude, people that I know, like, here's a show that at least when I was growing up, I thought was universally loved by everyone. And that was The Wonder Years. Because The Wonder Years had mature stories, good stories, and an amazing narrative. But there were people like, yo, I hated that fucking show. Only hot thing about that show was Winnie Cooper, and that was it. Fuck that big nosed guy with the glasses who hung around with Kevin Arnold. Fuck that guy. But you understand what I'm saying?
Marilyn Manson? I'm just kidding.
More or less. Again, dude, I'm not dismissing your opinion. But, like, everybody's committed to the shit. At least I want to let the shit rock before... Dude, it could come on air and it could suck. I'll acknowledge that first. I'll be like, yo, these motherfuckers age terribly. Why does Stephanie Tanner have the meth head face?
I'm calling it now that it will suck. How about that?
All right. Do you have Netflix to watch it, though?
Even if I did, I wouldn't watch it.
Because you hated the series as a whole. Right?
There you go.
Okay, and that's fine, but your bias for the series doesn't, there's no weight like, yo, it's gonna suck. Let the shit play out, and then, dude, I guarantee you if it sucks, I'll say, yo, Slick, you were right, the shit sucked. Comparing that shit to Vince Vaughn and his shitty agent who tells him that playing a fucking guy who jerked off in a cup and has 1,700 kids out there is going to make a good movie, not the same. Not. Look at Grumpy Cat, dude.
Say it sucks before it comes out.
Yeah, because the plot is stupid. Dude,
and what's the plot of Full House now?
It's following the daughters and their fucking kids, thus Fuller House. Isaiah says Slick likes In Living Color, not Full House.
That's true. That's actually true.
That is true.
But I like All in the Family.
Oh, dude, but All in the Family.
America's one giant vagina right now because All in the Family would not make it past the pilot episode today.
Dude, All in the Family, the fucking Jeffersons. George Jefferson would call a guy a honky on national television. A honky. You just got called a honky on national TV at 8 o'clock on a Saturday. And millions of kids will be like, Mama, what does honky mean? Again, going back to what I said before. Dude, there was worse shit growing up. That's why it's like you're biased or your hatred for Full House. You didn't like the show. So I would expect that you go, yo, fuck that show. But I can't in good faith say, yo, the shit's gonna suck. Because I watched the shit. I'm like, yo, was it great? Absolutely not. The plots were the same every week. The Olsen twins would smile at the camera. The three guys would get themselves into a jam. And John Stamos would never age because he bathes in Oiko's Greek yogurt.
But even at that time, there were better shows on.
Dude,
you had The Cosby Show. You had freaking Mama's Family. You had freaking Night Court.
Oh, Night Court.
These shows shit on Full House.
Oh, yeah, they do. But you also got to remember that the demographic for those shows were the people that are our age now. Like, we got into those shows because we were also fucking more mentally capable of absorbing the jokes. That's why they're putting the shit on Netflix. They're not putting the shit on Netflix for, you know, my nephew to watch the shit. They're putting that shit on Netflix for motherfuckers like me to watch the shit. Like, that's why, like, when they did Girl Meets World, I'm like, really? You guys are putting that on TV? I mean, don't get me wrong. Boy Meets World wasn't exactly fucking setting the network on fire. But they had Topanga. That worked.
Dude, I'd rather watch what, like, basically a What's Happening Now version of Saved by the Bell than watch Full House.
And that's fine, but you also liked Saved by the Bell, didn't you?
Not really.
So
I watched a few episodes, and it was not on my radar as favorite.
Oh, it wasn't on mine either. Dude, I wasn't. Let me tell you, I liked Saved by the Bell when there was nothing on Saturday afternoons when they used to give it on Channel 4. That was it. When I was bored and the shit would play in the background when I was a kid. Am I running?
After all the cartoons went off.
Yep.
And I would then go outside.
Yeah, I mean, but there were instances where I was too much of a pain in the ass and I wasn't going anywhere. So, Saved by the Bell it is. I'm not.
Ladies and gentlemen, which was on punishment.
Absolutely. I acknowledge that. But what I'm saying is, again, I'm not trying to even sell you on the shit. Me personally, I'm just saying that, yeah, it's easy for me to come on here and be a negative motherfucker because it comes naturally. I bleed negativity. I shit it out on a daily basis. But, you know, I'm also, as I'm getting older, willing to give shit a shot. Like Vince Vaughn. Like I said, I think he's a good actor when his agent doesn't tell him to do these shitbag movies. Dude, he's in True Detective. True Detective was an amazing series on HBO. Amazing. And the fact that he's sharing the screen with Colin Farrell, Rachel McAdams, I'm like, really? Vince Vaughn? Is this the same Vince Vaughn I know? Same guy? And I'm like, fuck, I guess it is. You know, it's weird, you know, but he may kill it. Who knows? He may go on that series and play the same fucking guy too. And I'm like, yo, go fuck yourself. You're just a terrible person at that point. Because and you know what happens, dude? That happens with a lot of these guys that we grew up watching. Eddie Murphy. How much shit has Eddie Murphy put out? How much garbage has he put out? All I gotta say is Dave. It's Eddie Murphy in Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, but at the same time,
dude, Pluto Nash.
If Eddie Murphy said he's gonna do a standing room only at freaking Madison Square Garden, I guarantee you that shit would sell out.
Absolutely, but that's because it's Eddie Murphy doing what he does best. And again, it's not his agent saying, you know what, Eddie, we're going to do Pluto Nash. That's going to be your next movie. No, that's him going, yo, motherfucker, I'm going on a stage and I'm going to do buckwheat. And motherfuckers are going to laugh. That's all it is. It's different. And again, that goes back to shitty agents. Here's a good example. And if you've heard this, say so. You know Josh Hartnett, the actor, right?
Yeah.
What do you know him from? Just casually off the cuff.
Not much, dude.
Exactly.
I mean, Black Hawk Down, that's about it.
Okay.
I thought he freaking stopped making movies.
Well, let me tell you what happened to Josh Hartnett. His agent said, oh, we want you for, Christopher Nolan wants you to play Batman. Gee, I wonder for what series this is. And he said, nah, I don't want to do it because I don't feel like being typecast as a superhero. Okay. Christopher Nolan then went.
Just about every actor who's ever said that has come to regret it.
Well, it gets better. After he did that, he said, Christopher Nolan did The Prestige, which of course Christian Bale was in, with Josh Hartnett's then girlfriend, Scarlett Johansson. Oh, gee, where was Josh Hartnett? At home, eating Cheetos. Not doing The Prestige and not being Batman. Oh, we want you to be Superman. Nah, I don't want to be typecast as a superhero. Well, that was a safer bet because poor Brandon Routh got fucked with that movie, but still. Hey, we want you to be Spider-Man. What do you think? Nah, not my cup of tea. Okay. Gee, what's Tobey Maguire doing after Spider-Man? Jacking shit. Seabiscuit. Being an extra hobbit. I don't know. But what I'm saying is that all of these characters and all these actors, dude, they sometimes fuck themselves because they want to be extra with the shit. Like, we were talking about this, me and a good friend of mine, about, like, Robert Downey Jr. Robert Downey Jr., if he said, yo, I'm not going to be Tony Stark anymore, I'm not going to do Iron Man, you know how hard it would be to find a guy to replicate that? Not to say that there aren't actors that can't do it, but there's guys out there that just make a role iconic for them. Think about that shit. Tony Stark doesn't got to go and get jacked for 6 months like Chris Evans or Chris Hemsworth got to do. He just got to stay lean. Then he says, "Oh, I'm just going to put on this CGI armor and jump around and fuck shit up. I'm going to be Iron Man till I'm 80." I'm serious though. And that's what happens. Like Chris Evans, originally he was like, I think I'm only going to do 1 or 2 more Captain America movies. Not with your fucking bankroll. Now he's doing interviews where he's like, I could probably do 1 or 2 more. Of course you can. Of course you can.
Once again, because that money's rolling for you.
But this is what I'm
saying.
saying.
Especially after Winter Soldier.
Exactly. But what I'm saying is that, like, Vince Vaughn, Adam Sandler, who else can I talk about? Eddie Murphy. Who's another guy that was just great and then he just started doing shit? Give me one guy who I'm missing.
I can't even think of anybody off the top of my head.
Mike Epps.
I don't pay enough attention on.
Mike Epps, I could use. Guys that, they did some movies and it's like, oh, these guys are great. Now they've been replaced by Kevin Hart, Will Ferrell, Kevin Hart again. Just an army of Kevin Harts. That's how it goes, dude. And that's why it's like when I say I hate Vince Vaughn, I hate Vince Vaughn because the fucking guy who's helping him manage his career is fucking him. If I were Adam Sandler, I'd punch my agent in the face. Because he has like at least 5 or 6 movies that are just tanked, dude, that made no money. And you know what's funny? The lady from Sony actually acknowledged that. Remember when all those Sony emails got leaked out? And they were like, ugh, yeah. we gotta do another Adam Sandler project. Like, that motherfucker's like, hey, we're gonna do a movie about a dancing pile of shit. Hey, that's great, Adam. What do you need? Let's get it financed. What? Serious.
I mean, he was in Grown Ups 1 and 2. That shit made dough.
Dude, Grown Ups 1 and 2 made dough because it wasn't fucking typical Adam Sandler garbage. And he had a good cast that kept him fucking honest. Excluding Kevin James, because I'm sorry.
I remember you said, to both, you said, fuck those movies.
Yeah, I said fuck those movies because, dude, they weren't my cup of tea. They weren't. I mean, people always tell me, they were good. They were all right. I mean, I've played them on cable, like they've played in the background, but did I want to go and give $13.25 to go see this shit in the box? No, fuck them. Fuck them with a dry dildo. Give a shit. But again, opinion. I ain't trying to sway nobody. If you told me, I saw those movies, they were awesome, I'd be like, Slick, you the fucking man. You sat through that shit. I couldn't. Thought it was shit.
Yeah, you sat through the Fast and Furious movies. I couldn't.
Exactly. But I tell you what, though, $1 billion in less in fucking record time can't even fucking shit on that if I wanted to. Aside from, well, you could from the sense of, I don't like him. Vin Diesel looks like a dick with ears. You know?
I got really no issue with Vin Diesel. I don't even have any issue with any of the people in the movie.
No, but I'm just saying, like
the concept of the film to me.
Right. The concept's not for you. But that's like anything else. I could say Slick hates car movies. Slick hates car porn. Slick hates shit getting stolen.
That would be incorrect, because to say I hate car movies would be to say I hate Cannonball Run, the Blues Brothers, and movies like that, which I love.
Right. But that's like...
Those are good car movies.
But motherfucker, that's like you saying I hate comedy.
Because every time a comedy comes out, you're like, fuck that movie.
Because it's not the right comedy for me, dude. Not to say that it's not a good comedy. It's just not my kind of comedy. That's all it is, dude.
I don't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole.
It's my comedy. That's it. Like Dark Helmet says, Spaceballs, Great Outdoors, and Uncle Buck. Going back, kind of circling back to John Candy. Like Spaceballs, thought it was great. Loved Uncle Buck. Didn't enjoy the Great Outdoors. Actually liked Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, even though Steve Martin is a giant pussy now. But, dude, growing up, couldn't beat that. Three Amigos, couldn't beat that. City Slickers, National Lampoon, Who's Harry Crumb? See? I got my fair share of comedy in there. All old shit. You see the pattern here. All old shit.
Yeah, but this is when movies in general were better.
Yeah, but you see the pattern here. All old shit. That's the pattern I'd like to direct everyone towards. All old shit. Very, very few new comedies grab me like that. Like, we were talking about a couple of weeks ago, American Pie. American Pie was funny. But that was because I hadn't seen Porky's since I was a kid. That shit had already been done. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, before somebody was dipping their nutsack in a pie, somebody was sticking a live snake through a toilet in a women's bathroom, and Miss Ballbricker was running out screaming with her pants down.
Or sticking their dick into the shower.
Yep. Done. Porky's had that covered. And all those movies, Porky's, Ski School, Summer School, One Crazy Summer, which is one of my favorite movies. Just because Bobcat Goldthwait in a Godzilla costume stepping on a miniature city was always great. But anyway, I digress. The whole thing, aside from Full House, they're doing a TV series on Galaxy Quest. Which, before I even go any further, when I first saw what Galaxy Quest was going to look like, I said, this is going to suck. Why? Because I
actually did too.
I'll tell you why.
Then I saw Galaxy Quest.
I hated Home Improvement, and I always wanted to throw Tim Allen into a fucking wood chipper. But Galaxy Quest was funny as fuck. And Tim Allen actually swayed me with that movie. Like, I'm like, oh, he's a pretty funny guy. Dude, hated Home Improvement again. And that was that block when they used to give that shit with like 3 other shows when we were growing up.
Well, I mean, it showed he had range because Home Improvement was basically his original stand-up.
Pretty much. Which I hated. Hate Tim Allen. Like I said. But Galaxy Quest, stomachable. And again, somebody can send me a tweet tomorrow. Yo, man, you didn't like Home Improvement? Fuck you, man. And I'd be like, nope, I didn't. Tim Allen's a pussy. You know?
I'm just wondering who. I mean, it can't be the original cast of the movie because
Definitely not.
I'm sorry, they're just not gonna. They're not gonna fit right now.
Dude, Sigourney Weaver's getting paid with Avatar.
And they did a damn good job at making her look young and hot. And now I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Sigourney Weaver, but it's been quite a while since she was aboard with this promo.
Well, you know what's funny about it too? It's like all those guys. You think Alan Rickman is gonna? Oh yeah, I'm gonna go back and play this fucking alien that I played in this obscure ass movie that I thought was what I did for a payday. You know.
You figure if the money's right, people can be made to do almost anything.
This is true.
Especially in Hollywood.
I totally forgot that Rainn Wilson was in that movie. I know Sam Rockwell was in it because I like Sam Rockwell. He's a very, very underrated actor. Well, in any case, I did want to put that out there. I also did want to say, which I shared on RageWorks.net, that Daredevil is getting a second season. For those of you that are chomping at the bit, you're going to have to wait till 2016. Not shocked. I'm trying to watch them gradually so I don't fucking, watch them all and then sit around going, no, I got to wait till 2016 to watch Daredevil. Nah. Little by little.
Why would they just throw the whole season out like that, though?
Because Netflix, and this is good. This goes back to what I was saying with Full House, House of Cards, all these shows. They throw them out there. You either watch them at your pace or you binge watch them. But the numbers that they look at is the binge watch, because if they go, yo, people are eating up these series like nothing, then of course they're going to put them up. Think about it. Orange is the New Black, House of Cards, the other one I was watching. What the fuck was it? The horror shit. Fuck. Hemlock Grove. Again, you either watch them at your own pace or you binge watch them. And Netflix watches that very carefully because they're like, yo, if people are eating up this entire series in a week, then, we could crank these out. And again, they're making the money off the subscriptions. I mean, don't get me wrong. People have pirated Daredevil on torrents and shit. But, people are still signing up or keeping Netflix because, Daredevil is good, or House of Cards is good, or whatever the case may be.
True.
But on the flip side, and Lucha Ali asked about this, Valiant is actually getting into a deal with Sony. They announced a 5-picture deal with Sony to develop the comics Bloodshot and Harbinger starting in 2017. The properties will get 2 films before a 5th film brings them together. The crossover will be the Harbinger Wars, which was based off a series from 2013. I'm actually looking forward to this. I think Valiant is a very underrated comic book company. I think they have some really, really good books there. Magnus Robot Fighter was one of the first Valiant books I read. Bloodshot was my second. Exo Manowar. The list goes on. I mean, working in a comic book store at the time, I was like, wow, these guys are kind of killing it. So I'm curious to see what they do by bringing this universe to the big screen.
Yeah, I was never really a Valiant fan. It's like, I've read several of their comics, and
they weren't for everybody.
They never grew on me.
Yep, they were not for everybody, but it's crazy that years later, all these companies and some of their properties, like Two Guns is based off a comic from Boom Studios. Not too many people would have known that, but it is. Everybody liked it, but that's because, Boom Studios did a really good job with the book. Same thing with, some of these other more obscure movies that are based on comics. I actually had to tell
But
somebody.
the thing is, like, it wasn't even the violence. It's just I found the Valiant comics to be poorly written.
Right, but that's just because you had a certain standard, and they weren't for everybody. I actually was exposed to them because when I was working in the comic book store at the time, you know, we really started getting an aggressive push every week. You know, every Tuesday or Wednesday, the books would come in, and I'd see these stacks and stacks and stacks of books, and I'm like, yo, who is buying this shit that's not Marvel or DC? And I remember one of our guys who had a regular folder, he's like, yo, have you ever read this? And I'm like, what is that? And it was Magnus Robot Fighter. And I'm like, I don't know, man, not my cup of tea. But then again, this is also a kid that at the time was reading Zen Intergalactic Ninja and Faust, amongst other things that I shouldn't have been reading. But in any case, dude was like, yo, check it out. You'll like it. So I read through it, and the first book didn't grab me, but then by the third book, I was like, all right, this is starting to get kind of cool. But again, you know, the writing, the stories, the characters, they're not for everybody, especially when you're a constant Marvel and DC fan, because you're going to have certain things that you're always going to correlate with other characters.
Well, at the time, I was primarily an Image fan, and, like, the guy that I would get my comics from, like, I could get the Valiant comics, like, for a quarter.
Jeez.
Because he had so many of them left over. He was like, just get rid of that shit.
Yep. I remember those days. Valiant did reach a point where their comics they hit the bottom of the barrel. But you know what? There were also other comic companies. Malibu. Do you remember Malibu Comics? They did that brief Mortal Kombat book. You know, there were a fair share of companies that were out there that just would pop up, put out a book, and then 5 or 6 months later, their comics would be a quarter. But the thing with Valiant was that I think they just put out so much stuff, and they introduced so many characters that people didn't know what to do with them. I mean, it's the same thing, the same cycle that hurt Image. Because remember, Image started slow with the core characters: Spawn, Savage Dragon, Shadowhawk, Wildcats, you know, and then all of a sudden it was Youngblood, 17 different versions of Youngblood, all these other characters that just made no sense. And then what happened was people would be like, oh, that character's like this character, and that character's like this other character, and before you know it, Image books were a quarter.
Because Rob Liefeld is a turd.
You know what? It's weird that so many people say that, but I don't hate on Rob Liefeld too much, because without Rob Liefeld, we'd have no Deadpool. Gotta give the devil his due.
Rob Liefeld may have co-created Deadpool, but it was really other writers who really made him shine.
Oh yeah, of course, other writers made him shine, but the character is, you know, Rob Liefeld character. You know, it's no different than Venom really hitting his stride when Todd McFarlane started drawing him. Like the Todd McFarlane's Venom design was one of the ones that was super iconic.
Yeah, but nobody really walks around saying fuck Todd McFarlane.
Oh, there are some people, just because, you know, people that...
Yeah, some people, of course, but not like the people who say fuck Rob Liefeld.
Oh, but Rob Liefeld, it was also a personality thing. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, he's mellowed over the years. But dude, when he was younger, you gotta remember, Image at that time was all upstarts, man. Guys who, you know, they were just like, yo, fuck the establishment. We're going to start our own thing, make our own books. And all those dudes were just young and wild, and they were swimming in money. Because, dude, think about it. Liefeld, Lee, and McFarlane killing it. And then, you know, Eric Larson with Savage Dragon. Just when Savage Dragon burst on the scene, the first thing everybody said was like, oh, it's the Hulk with a fin on his head. I mean, the books were more than that. But you remember how that shit was.
Yeah, but every Image comic really did have roots in Marvel.
Of course it did, dude. But that's because that's where those guys came from. I mean, I'm always going to acknowledge that. Don't get me wrong. But I also felt that Image took a lot of risks and acknowledged a lot of different things that I was like, oh, okay. You know, like with Shadowhawk and with HIV and all that crazy shit. You know, it was like, wow, okay. It's kind of deep that the guy's like dying. You know, I was like, fuck.
I mean, if you think about it, how many freaking Image comics were either Avengers or freaking X-Men ripoffs?
Oh,
freaking Cyberforce was a bunch of mutants.
Cyberforce was so X-Men and X-Force, it wasn't even funny. But the character...
Youngblood was X-Force.
Yeah, but Cyberforce 2, Cyberforce to a degree, just because like the main guy looked like Cable a little bit with the 3 arms. What the hell is his name? The dude with the 3 arms on one side. Fuck. You know who I'm talking about.
I do. Stryker.
Yeah, the only guy out of Cyberforce I ever liked was Ripclaw. Always my favorite character.
You mean Native American Wolverine?
Yep, you know it, and that's why. Native American Wolverine all day.
No, Ripclaw was awesome, but I mean, he was Native American Wolverine.
Yeah, dude, he was Native American Wolverine through and through, but the design and everything was dope at the time. But that's when we were also buying comic books based on the fact that the cover art looked amazing. I got a lot of duds in my boxes too, man. Fair share of duds.
At least with early Image comics, if the cover art was amazing, the inside art was usually pretty damn good too.
Absolutely, but the stories were just like, oh my god, what did I just read? Anyway.
No, well, I mean, I didn't buy all of the Image comics. And
I got some crazy shit, dude.
You're right about that. I mean, with the ones I bought, I usually did enjoy the story. Like, I would buy the first issue, see if I liked it, and then I would get the run.
Dude, I remember when I was buying Lady Death comic books, and I was a young dude, and people were like, "Are those any good? Why are you buying them?" And I said, "Tits." You know, I was young.
I have to wait for you to finish that,
dude. I was young and
Lady
stupid.
Death was awful,
dude. But then the books, like when they introduced Purgatory and they started tying in Evil Ernie and all this crazy shit, I was like, oh, this is getting crazy. And then we kind of just moved beyond tits, you know, because that's what it was.
I mean, there were characters that were basically tits that still had good writing. I mean, Vampirella wasn't bad. She was good.
She was real good. Remember Dawn?
No.
Dawn. Dude, look up Dawn on Google and get back to me. Anyway, let me move through this before we go into some serious OT. Brand new Spider-Man casting update. They've narrowed it down to 5 actors. First guy, Asa, whatever, Butterfield, the guy from Ender's Game. Timothée Chalamet from Interstellar. Tom Holland from Locke and the Impossible. Liam James from The Way and Way Back. And then Nat Wolff from The Fault in Our Stars and Paper Towns. Those are on the short list for young Peter Parker, who will allegedly be making his debut in Captain America Civil War. So I looked at all those young dudes. They were all young kids. At the end of the day, if you could talk shit and you look pretty decent in the costume, everything else kind of comes together. Because look at Andrew Garfield. The guy is English. You know how crazy it was the first time I saw him do an interview, and I'm like, holy shit, this fucking guy's English? Could have fooled me. Fuck. But he was good, you know? He grew into the role. He did a good job. And then before you know, everybody's like, yo, man, this kid kills it as Spider-Man. But too late now. Poor guy. I feel bad. Marvel's just like, hey, we're going to use Spider-Man, but you're fired.
And the next guy who plays Spider-Man better fucking do a bang-up job, because I really liked Adam Garfield. I mean, I originally liked Tobey Maguire, but, you know, if I had to choose between the two of them, it'd be Adam Garfield all day.
He did a great job, and he was just a really, really good modern Peter Parker. Really good. So, again,
I mean, if you want to compare stupid moments, I think anybody would pick I'm Spider-Man over the dance scene.
It depends, man. Like, you know what's weird? It's like I always try to look at Spider-Man as Spider-Man 1 and 2, and I just try to sweep 3 under the rug and forget it was ever made. Just because there were so many things wrong with it. Emo Spider-Man, Ninja Goblin, Venom screeching like a velociraptor from Jurassic Park. The list goes on and on and on. But, if I had to compare Spider-Man 1 and 2 and Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, I do feel that Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 2 with Dr. Octopus is the gold standard of Spider-Man movies. Because that movie was tremendous. Great story, amazing acting. Alfred Molina actually made Dr. Octopus more than just a chubby guy with a fucking harness. It was great.
Dude, all I'm going to say is Emma Stone versus Kirsten Dunst.
Kristen Dunst versus Bag of Shit.
Dunst.
Moving on.
You don't like Emma Stone?
No. I'm saying I like Emma Stone. Kristen Dunst versus Bag of Shit. Bag of Shit wins, Kristen Dunst was probably one of the worst choices for Mary Jane. But whatever, she was the hot commodity at the moment. They made it work. The only thing she was good for was wet t-shirt, kissing Spider-Man upside down, and that was it. That's all it is. But anyway, besides the short list of actors for Spider-Man joining the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Sony, of course, wants to continue to rape and pillage Spider-Man's bones by doing an animated Spider-Man feature done by Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, who did the Lego movie. That's supposed to come out July 20th, 2018. Mind you,
I think that's a terrible idea because Marvel has a really lousy track record with animated movies.
Well, here's the kicker.
At least in terms of art.
Well, here's the kicker. That animated movie will exist independently of the live-action Spider-Man movie and its associated projects. Why? Why? Dude, you could use animated...
what is the point of making it?
Dude, you could use animated movies to fill in the gap between movies. Like, why hasn't anybody thought of that?
I don't know. I mean, that Rise of the Technovore movie was pretty decent, and even though, it's technically anime, I mean,
yeah,
they completely ignore it.
Yep. But a lot of stuff came out of CinemaCon. Obviously, a lot of the Spider-Man stuff. They are doing a sequel to The Equalizer. I have no problem with this whatsoever because Denzel Washington was amazing in that movie. And the movie made 190.
They said they were planning on making a series out of that.
Yeah, there was
from the beginning.
Well, that was based on a series originally, but it's interesting that they're going to do that. And I actually didn't know that movie made almost $200 million, and it only cost $50 million to make. So at that point, it's a no-brainer.
There you go.
Now, we got the last bit of movie news to wrap things up. Some of you may consider this what the fuck movie news, and I brought you in primarily for this. They're doing obviously.
I'm not gonna hate you.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 is currently filming, which we already know. And Stephen Amell, who plays Oliver Queen, is going to be playing Casey Jones. We've talked about that. Tyler Perry is playing Baxter Stockman.
You know why I have a problem with that?
I'm going to let you say why you have a problem.
Let's say if just for a second.
Okay.
Just to piss you off for a second. Let's say if they would made Baxter Stockman a white guy because, in a cartoon he was, but originally in the comics he is black.
Correct.
Let's say they made Vince Vaughn Baxter Stockman. That would be fine because that Baxter Stockman was a bag of shit.
Well, white Baxter Stockman is Vince Vaughn. Let's be realistic. Dude, Baxter Stockman in the cartoons was as vanilla could be. The only good thing about him was when he became the fucking Bug. Anything before that, it's like, oh great, mad scientist guy. Thanks. I'll take the Rat King, please.
And I mean, then again, it's weird the way they want to do their casting, because it's like they pick and choose how they want to do
Yep.
it. April O'Neil was originally black.
Right.
But it bothers me because, you know, the whole linking to Medea. And the original Black Baxter Stockton was a very serious character.
Exactly. Well, that's what got me, because I said to myself, I sincerely doubt, and I could be wrong, that yes, we know Tyler Perry likes to get made up. We know that. But I'm like, I don't know if Tyler Perry's going to feel comfortable playing a giant mosquito in a lab coat. That's what I said. I'm like, I don't know if he's going to be comfortable with that. That's my big.
Get smashed.
Hmm?
Can we get Kevin Nash to reprise his role as Super Shredder and just kill him?
Dude, that's the thing that I was talking about. You know, I was thinking about, because this new film is going to have Rocksteady and Bebop, and a lot of people were saying, "Oh, that's going to be either really good or really bad." You know what's weird? Like the turtle designs, not even the movies themselves, the movie itself, whether you like it or you don't. I like the modern turtle design that they used. And the reason I do is
I hate it.
Well,
but
hold on.
Going off of that design,
Hold on. But before you jump in,
if they're going to use that,
before you jump in, the only thing I want to say is the only reason that I gravitated towards that turtle design is because it gave each turtle personality. That's it. Not to say that the old ones growing up in the old movie were better or worse, but I liked being able to look at them and just differentiate. You know what I mean? Like Donatello was the nerd. Everybody saw it. Yeah, he had to wear the glasses and all the shit, whatever. But it was good because kids felt a kinship on a different level. You get what I'm saying?
I mean, I can go into a whole realm of why I disagree.
Okay.
Because honestly, the personality look that you're talking about, the whole point of that is merchandising.
Oh yeah, it is merchandising,
they
but
really
I
don't give a fuck about personality.
Right, but kids also gravitate towards
the original,
that. No, I was saying kids are a sucker for that stuff, like Bumblebee, you know, and his design. Yeah, Optimus Prime is the leader of the Transformers, and his design is a nice vibrant red and blue because it's like, mommy, look. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's always merchandising, but aside from that, I liked it because I liked how they just had individual looks to them, you know? Again, not to say that that's right or wrong.
That's why I'm disagreeing with you, because in the original comic, first of all, I mean, if anybody doesn't know, the original comic was black and white.
Correct.
So it didn't even matter whether they wore, because if it were in color, they were all wearing red bandanas.
Right.
But even if they were wearing red, blue, purple, and orange, you never would have saw it.
This is true. The weapons were the giveaway.
You were still able to tell them apart by personality, because when you would read it, the writing was that good that you could still tell them apart.
No, and I understand that, and and writing is crucial, but we're also looking at this again, going back to what I said before, in a self-contained universe. Don't get me wrong, the movie was not great, not by a long shot, but the design was not
I haven't watched it.
Oh, you still haven't watched it, dude? Damn,
dude, it's painful for me to go into it, but at some point I guess I'll have to. But what I was going to say is the reason why I think Rocksteady and Bebop will look good is because even though I hate the way the new Turtles look, they
complement the design.
A maturity. There's a maturity to their design,
right? That
tells me that Rocksteady and Bebop could look really, really vicious.
Well, you know what?
Even if they make them idiots, that will sell them that much harder.
But they had designs for them online, and I mean, I'm just counting down for the day when, you know, Shredder's like, and the turtles, but boss, they got away, boss. As long as I get that, I'll be all right as long as he just sounds like a Brooklyn cab driver. Boss, the Turtles, they were there. They were God.
Yeah, but we're not going to get what we want in terms of that.
No, we're not. But I mean, the turtle designs, like I said, movie aside, I like the designs because I like the more, like big ass fucking turtles fucking shit up. Like that was all right. That was cool. I mean, I didn't like Michelangelo looking at April O'Neil and going, "Oh, my shell is tightening." I'm like, "Oh, that's a little creepy, a little on the creepy, a little bit on the creepy side." Oh yeah, you didn't watch it. Sorry, spoiler. But yeah, he's like, "Oh, I feel my shell tightening."
Anything for me, buddy.
Yeah, I was like, "Okay." I'm like, "All right, that's a little yeah." But we also
want
have
to hear something crazy though, and this is going on giving you what you want.
Shoot.
Going with that type of voicing, who would be perfect to voice Rocksteady?
Who?
John Leguizamo.
John Leguizamo would be really good. John Leguizamo.
He can pull off that Brooklyn accent.
If I had to go with anybody, and this is super just because what else is he doing? Dude, the Dice Man. Hey, I'm a talking rhino over here. What are you doing? Come on, stupid, let's go. Oh. But
I'm surprised nobody has tapped him for any kind of voiceovers. But
seriously,
then there's that stigma of his mouth. But
yeah, but dude, Eddie Murphy, stigma.
Yeah, but Eddie Murphy never got blacklisted from anything.
This is true, but the Dice Man was in a separate category, dude. I remember I watched Ford Fairlane when I was a kid, and my mother's like, "What are you watching?" Nothing. Click.
I still watch that movie.
There you go. Anyway,
there's nothing like Ed O'Neil, freaking trying to dance to him up. Booty turn.
I remember that.
USA.
Oh my God. Terrible. But with that said, I wanted to close out with that Tyler Perry as Baxter Stockman because again, it's funny because Dark Helmet says Blackster Stockman. Well played, sir. Well played. But again, Baxter Stockman was a serious scientist. If you're gonna go with the whole, hey, we're gonna make this guy a fly at some point in the movie, I don't know how well that's gonna work. That's all I'm saying.
But then again, because as much as I can't stand him, Tyler Perry actually wasn't terrible in Star Trek.
He was not.
You never know.
He was not. I agree.
You never know because, love him or hate him, I thought Jamie Foxx was pretty good as Electro.
I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. But it wasn't the worst thing I've seen. I've seen worse.
He was kind of bad in terms of how Electro, the comic book character, behaves. But
right.
As playing a villain, I thought he did pretty well.
Yeah, it was fine, dude. It wasn't the worst thing. Like I said, there's worse shit out there than Jamie Foxx playing Electro.
Absolutely.
All I want to know is, can we get Krang? But Shredder, put me in the giant robot body.
Yeah, but then there would be the question of which version of Krang are they going to use? The original, the cartoon, or what?
I don't know, dude, but I need that Krang and I need that Technodrome.
Yeah, I don't see the Technodrome happening, but that would be fantastic.
Yeah, dude, the Technodrome just rolling into like New York City would be bananas. Like a gate opens up and the Technodrome comes through. You're like, oh shit. Or at least some
That'll
Mousers.
Be on the level of some Stay Puft Marshmallow Man shit.
Yeah, dude, exactly. Like I wouldn't mind that. Just again, there's just certain aspects of my childhood with certain key moments when you're a kid that you just, like I said, you just want to see them on screen because you're like, wow, that's crazy that they did that. Again, whether it's good or bad, you can at least go, wow, they actually pulled that off. Wasn't great, but they gambled and they did it. Like the Technodrome would look crazy, dude, if they did it right.
Absolutely.
Well, with that said, that actually wraps up the movie news for this week, and it's going to wrap up the show as well. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
No, I'm good, man.
All right, brother. I appreciate you chiming in and lending me the assist this week.
Okay.
All right, bro. Peace.
After that keyboard warrior you did this.
Yeah, it's all right, man. It's welcomed. It's welcomed. It makes the show interesting.
All right, man.
All right, brother. Peace. All right, ladies and gents, with that, we are going to wrap up this week's show. You've just heard My Take Radio, episode 289, which broadcasted live Thursday, April 23rd, 2015. If you want to get an archive version of this show, you got a couple of options: iTunes, Stitcher, and TuneIn Radio for your audio versions. And for video, you can find us youtube.com/MyTakeRadioTV, as well as youtube.com/official Rageworks. Quick reminder, if you want to get content besides My Take Radio, you can subscribe to our Rageworks channel. If you're only looking for the My Take Radio broadcast, you can subscribe to our My Take Radio channel only. In addition to that, you can get the best My Take Radio experience by picking up the My Take Radio app, available for Android, iOS, and Windows mobile devices. For Android, you're going to head over to the Amazon Marketplace. For Windows, of course, you're going to head to the Windows Store. And for iOS devices, you are heading to iTunes. As for finding us on social media, you can follow My Take Radio on Twitter and look for us on Facebook. You can also follow Rageworks on Twitter, Facebook, Google+, and Pinterest as well. If you're into Instagram, you can follow me on Instagram, Rageworks_Rich. Share a lot of the stuff that goes into the show on the back end. A lot of cool toys, action figures, food. I do share a lot of food. Just a quick FYI. But nonetheless, if you're an Instagram follower and you want to get your Rageworks fixed that way, you can follow me there as well. All right, with that said, be on the lookout for our Moto X giveaway. This is the one with the wood finish, which will go live this weekend. On behalf of myself, Slick, and the rest of the MTR and Rageworks family, thank you guys for tuning in. I am out of here. Peace.
I'm rich, biatch!
That's all, folks.